Pro stuff.
That's it.
I love it.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Hey, this is the Okayest Hunter podcast. We're coming at you. I don't want to say coming at you, but we are live.
We're always coming at you.
We're coming at you like a rotten buck. From Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, the Okayest Hunter podcast studio. We're brought to you by half-rack, half-rack.com. Be sure to use code OHP and save yourself. It's either 15 or 20%. And if someone ever uses the code, you can message us and tell me what it is. Please help us out. We know not what we do. We
know not what benefit we provide.
Yeah.
We know there's some.
There's something for you there.
There's something.
You know, it's a surprise. Might be 15, might be 20. We don't really know. It's
Maybe
not nothing.
Somebody logged on and was like, you get it free. OHP.
Whoa.
We're throwing those guys a bone.
Oh my God.
We're not actually
That's
doing
not real.
that.
Yeah. Shut
That's
the hell up,
just
Derek.
Imaginary.
So Greg's doing the Okayest Fisher podcast tonight. For the last, 3 weeks, we've not had Greg here. And he warned me. He gave me a warning. He said, Eric, I'm probably not going to be doing the hunting podcast nearly as much because I'm doing the fishing podcast.
And he's been, for those of you who don't talk to Greg personally, he's been really busy with work stuff and been traveling a lot, doing trainings.
Yep.
So like his load got way heavier with work and then
Yep.
way heavier with the fishing podcast. So
It's not
he's still in the group, guys.
Yeah,
He's
at
still
some
in the
point
group.
when we have a guest, it'll end up, Greg will be the guest at some point.
We'd love to have you on the show if
can
you're
we
listening.
get Greg on the He only helped build the show, you know,
For the last however many years.
2-3 years. I don't know. I feel like I just say 2 years. Like, I actually thought my wife was like 24 for the first 4 years of our relationship. In my mind, she was just always 24. I never like.
Yeah, I know
how
what you're
old are
talking
you?
about.
Yeah. So Greg has just been like an infinite 2-year situation. Yeah, so be sure to check out our other partners too. You can use code OHP over at Latitude Outdoors. Their speed sticks are dropping soon. We just had Jake Bush on last week. Great episode. Go check it out. Spartan Forge, the code over there is OHP, but it's spartanforge.ai, not .com, .ai, which stands for artificial intelligence, because that's what they do. I think on the last podcast video, if you're not following our YouTube, I wouldn't say you're missing out, but
you're missing.
we have a different flavor of our podcast content over there. That's like video with all these cameras that we have. There's different things going on. So check that out if you're not already subscribed. We have, yeah, go ahead.
If you're like, I enjoy watching also like other podcasts, and then you get to see the guest, see reactions. And there's like a lot of stupid, silly stuff that's lost.
Like when your
maybe
chair
just
climbs
overall
up, or we crack beer bottles open on the table. Like there's just other weird things that, if you wonder what the hell's going on
the
in here,
damage.
why someone's laughing, or usually that's, yeah, you'll kind of understand more. Method Archery, they're going to be at TAC in Montana. I forget what that one's called. Is it Big Sky? I don't really know. Total Archery Challenge. They're doing that whole circuit of events with their tent. So they're pretty busy doing that. But code OHP will save you some money on arrows. That'll get directly shipped to your door. They'll be built to your specs. Did you get your... Did you figure it out?
Still waiting.
Okay.
I messaged Isaac, but I'm sure he's busy. He hasn't gotten back to me. I just messaged him like yesterday. But while we were at the playground shoot, deer veins shoot, we did see a ton of
that's what a lot of people were shooting.
vector/method, because some of them had arrows for the last few years. But there was a bunch there, which is good to see.
Yeah, and Corey, who shot with us, he was shooting them.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of, I think I was one of the few maybe that had the method branding on it.
I think most people had them for the last year or two.
But
had the vector.
I
got a
still have
vector
a lot of
hat.
Yeah, you got
which
an
is
OG
cool because
hat.
they're not making it anymore. You know, I was like, oh, it's collector's item.
It's pretty cool. And then Go Wild. Last week they announced their partnership with Go Ruck. They have a new Go Ruck bag that's with like branded or like it's got the Go Wild camouflage on it, which I didn't even. I think I knew that their own camo pattern
design. Right?
I don't know how hard that is to like create your own camo pattern. I'm not going to do it. It'd be the worst camo pattern in the world. It'd be very ineffective.
There's been a lot of bad ones. You remember camo booty?
No.
You ever see that? It's like, the naked girls sitting back, like, the trucker stickers.
Oh, yeah.
It was like camouflage of different beige and green tones of naked silhouetted women. And it was called camo booty. I'll never forget. A friend of mine had like a sticker, and I was like, what the hell is camo booty?
Oh, my
And then he
gosh.
looked it up, and he's like, this. I was like, put that
No.
on. That's garbage.
Yeah, that'd be like the
It
equivalent.
would probably work.
We just had a bunch of our antlers on like a thing. But that's not real camouflage. That's just like a fun pattern.
It's fun.
I think Go Wild is a legit camo pattern. Just happens to say Go Wild. Kind of like you'd see like where it says Real Tree. You can still get words in there. And
Do you know what they call it? They have a fancy name for it?
No, I don't know. It might just be Go Wild Camo. I don't know.
Keep it simple.
I'll find out. I'm talking to them tomorrow at some point, so maybe I'll ask. But you can use, so like if you go to the Go Wild app, you can shop, and you can also use our code over there too. I think you're going to get 10% off over there with our stuff. But you also get points. So if you want to log an activity, a run, a hike, archery, whatever, listen to the podcast, all that stuff will get you points.
Yeah, even discount. Like, listening, you can log hours
of
listening to outdoor.
A much bigger discount than 10% in some cases.
The rucking thing is interesting because that's like really huge right now, right? Like it's like really catchy.
It's been around for some time. It's not new. I think it's just gaining popularity in this market.
Yeah, I'm feeling it like I'm seeing it everywhere. Like in the outdoor, like go ruck so you can drag a buck out this fall. Like get ready. I'm seeing it everywhere.
Go ruck to drag the buck.
Yeah, it's like what ice
It
baths
is a pain in the ass. Like if you're gonna walk around with this heavy ass, like whether it's a weighted vest, a weighted pack, or some like, I mean, at that point just go grab a medicine ball, I suppose. But I can't feel great. Like I went on a run. I'm like, I don't want to carry extra shit. It's hard enough.
Have your kids sit in the sled, the little toboggan there, and pull them down the sidewalk. It'd be pretty good.
That's the thing. I mean, I pushed a stroller with the two boys was it last week I did that way? I don't remember.
You did a run with them, right?
Yeah, they're heavy. They're heavy.
It's not easy.
It's no joke. Who do we got with us? Oak Tree Dreams is in the house. It's been a while. It has been a while since we've seen you in here, Drew.
Happy Father's Day, Drew.
Yeah, belated Father's Day. That's right. Zach Church, let's go. Greg Morgan, yo fellas, been a while. Just got out of Instagram jail. Well, glad to see you're out of jail, buddy.
Welcome back.
So I actually got. Let's talk about the shoot. We did a archery shoot at Anthony Heller's place. Anthony Heller's with Deer Vein. He calls it the 3D playground. He's got his own property. I think it's 80 acres. It might be more of land in like a really beautiful spot of the country.
Gorgeous.
Here in Wisconsin. It's like Dodgeville area, I think.
Southwestern Wisconsin, the driftless. So like it was Eric and Greg had been there for one or two shoots before this.
Yeah, it's his third year.
It was my first time. So when they had told me about shooting off the rocks and stuff, like there's definitely some sweet bluffs on that property. And Anthony took full advantage of them, climbing up all these rocks and big, deep ravines. It was really cool.
Yeah, we were at some high highs and some low lows, I think.
Both in elevation and in shooting.
I only lost 2 arrows. I lost one on like a target right when we got there, just trying to like zero in.
Which we later found out was not your fault because one of your set screws for your sight, I think it was your right-left one, was just backed out too far. We could hear your bow.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like, Eric's got the new bow. It's making this weird twang noise. We thought it was your quiver. You took your quiver off, shot again. Wasn't that. And also we noticed that your sight was loose.
Yep.
So I think that's why you lost that arrow in the beginning.
Yeah, it could have been, but it wasn't a left-right situation. It was definitely a up-down one. But my tape isn't right either. So I'm like, man. Yeah, see, I got to be honest with you, everybody here. Yeah, and then I forget which one I lost the arrow on. I know I missed. Did I miss the bear?
It was a ricochet shot. Remember, it was the one like over the hill.
That's right.
You hit a little bit of foliage, and then it kind of whipped and went down.
Yeah, that one felt unfortunate.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. Not much, I guess.
Have an arrow sponsor, I guess.
Well, that is what I'm gonna do. Hey guys, I lost some arrows. Yeah, no, it was a very dynamic course. Like it gets you into like I don't think unless I go elk hunting, I'm not shooting in those circumstances on most of my whitetail hunts.
Probably not.
By and large, like the shooting downward one, yes, that would simulate shooting from a saddle or a tree stand where you have some elevation, you're shooting down. But there's not a lot of situations where you're shooting uphill like that ram in the dark ravine up against the rock. Like you can't you can't even make the damn thing out hardly.
I got a kick out of that video because I think I had a video of you and you were drawn back and.
Well, that was the bear.
How's
in
my
the face.
technique look or whatever?
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, looking good. And then you're like settled in. You're like, where in the hell is the target? It was it was like across a valley. There was all bright light, and there was a bunch of shadows, and it was like a black panther.
Yeah, you can't even. It was like, the fuck, where is this thing?
Very hard.
And you
to
just
see.
pray that you hear the foam,
Instead of a
crack. Yeah. So if it's good to get out and try this stuff because you are going to discover any flaws that you have when you're shooting. I mean, was there 14? Was there 14?
14
stations?
3Ds, yeah.
So with that many different shots, like you're going to discover some things about yourself or your bow that you might not find in your backyard or your basement at, your 15 yards or whatever. So I think it's, find some event to shoot at, get some confidence, some comfortability, find your mistakes, fine tune whatever you got to fine tune. And I think it's a great way to get ready for the season.
You and I were both in a similar boat in that we'd both gotten new bows very recently. So we didn't necessarily shoot it to shoot an amazing score because it was just
but
to
you
get
did
some
great.
reps.
I think you and Matt were like neck and neck, and Matt shoots all the time.
Well, I appreciate that. But it was like, let's just get some reps, and get used to our new equipment. And I think for anybody who's out there listening, if you haven't taken out, even if you don't have new equipment, if you haven't taken out your bow yet and shot it, not saying go sign up for a 3D if you don't feel comfortable, but you should probably take it out and get familiar with it. Season is going to be here before you know it.
Yep.
So just start getting some reps.
Yep.
A couple of arrows a day would be a great start. And then once you feel comfortable, the 3D thing, I never did that growing up, shoot in front of people. It was always just in the backyard with my dad. But the first time I shot at a course, with other people, I was we talked about the nerves. I had nerves big time. I was like, oh my God. And it almost simulated having a buck or a doe, your quarry in front of you. So if you haven't done it, give it a try.
For sure.
Give it a try. There's tons of small shoots nowadays. They're not all these huge competitions. Tons of local archery shops and
but everyone's a good
courses
sport about
them.
it too. You don't have to be nervous about anything. No one's gonna give you they might razz you a little bit for fun, but nothing.
I promise there will be people there worse than you. There will be.
We do have a couple calls in the queue. One says talk about boats, so I'm not sure what that is. We'll see. Hopefully they're legit calls. Hey, welcome to the show. You're live on the Okayest Hunter podcast. Who do we got?
Hi, my name is Bryce. I messaged, I think I talked to you, Eric, about when you guys were talking about the mythical beasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Speaking of our YouTube channel, that one's crushing it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty funny topic, and I'm sure a lot of people in northern Wisconsin have stories about stuff like that.
It's really interesting that you just called because yesterday I drove by, the family and I were on our way back from somewhere further south, and we were on our way back on the highway, and we passed a car that had a Dogman, no, it wasn't a Dogman sticker. It was they have a Dogman museum or something, and they had a sticker that they had visited the Dogman museum or exhibit or whatever, and I was like, that's
it's an oddly big topic.
Thing.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you called in about that, Bryce.
I think there's a bunch of museums I think they're called cryptids and stuff like that all across the United States. I've seen a couple bumper stickers. I know up in Rhinelander they have the Hodag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
Need to visit one of these places.
Rhinelander.
I did have a question for you guys about when do you guys start getting the itch to start hunting? I was just up north at Petenwell with my uncle and my grandfather, and we're sitting around the fire, and the topic of deer camp came up, and we were just all chomping at the bit to get back in the deer woods. When do you guys start really talking about it and thinking about it and getting the itch to get back in the deer woods?
No. I think, but for some of us like Derek or whatever, I think year round, I have this, I'll talk and I'll let Derek answer, but I think I have this thing where once either I get one with my bow or once gun season's done, a little bit of both of those, I actually get so fixated on it that it feels good to have a break because I can't, a pit bull, I can't let it go. It takes over and I can't help it. So it's actually relieving to let it lose grip for a minute. And then it slowly starts ramping up. I would say July when Velvet Trail Cam pics start coming out and, you start shooting your bow more, and then suddenly, next thing you know, it's like, I've cut the grass for the last time and it's fall and it's time to go. Like,
I like that you put that in there because that is always like kind of like a signal that season is upon us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm wired a little bit different. This is like, I've always like white deer season is just year round, like Eric said. And I think what he just said is like fairly normal, fairly common. Like all of a sudden it kind of like season's coming around. You see the corn is like starting to dry out. People start thinking about hunting. I have like group texts with multiple people who are like just as silly as me, and we talk deer hunting every day, year round. Like Corey and Tim on this text, like they're sending me trail cam pictures every day. Like we talk it every day. I plan, I strategy, I freaking look at maps every day. I'm just kind of stupid and sick with this stuff. It's just what I like to do. So I'm always ready and eager and chomping at the bit.
Fun question to ask us though. Thanks. What about you? What was the result from the deer camp?
I think mine start. I think I start thinking about deer camp as soon as I'm a big fisherman as well. So I also follow your guys' Okayest Fisher podcast, which is awesome.
Excellent.
And I think as soon as early fall fishing ends and it starts getting nicer outside where I don't have to wear, 15 layers to go outside to do something. And I start shooting my bow, sitting around fires and stuff like that. And, a bottle starts getting passed around and deer camp stories start, spurring up. I think that's when I really start thinking about it and stuff like that. So,
yeah, the fishing thing I think plays a big part in it. Like Matt is obviously on Okayest Fisher and Greg, and we were talking on the drive to the shoot. Matt's a huge muskie fisherman, loves going, early to late fall casting for muskies because that's when they're putting on the feed bag. So he was trying to talk us all into, hey, why didn't everybody shoot a buck real early in the season? Then we can all go up and do a muskie fishing weekend. And of course, everybody thought that sounded great. And let's just do that. That'll be the plan. We'll all shoot bucks early.
Yeah, then
we'll go grouse hunting and go muskie fishing. That's the plan. Let's do it.
Yeah, it sounds like one heck of a weekend.
Yeah, now to make it happen.
I won't take up too much of your guys' time. But I did want to say that methods, customer service and stuff like that with your guys' code is amazing. I just bought some of their arrows, and for anybody that's on the fence about buying them, they're worth every single penny. They're amazing. And the customer service is second to none.
That's great to hear. They've really grown a good team there. So like Isaac is out traveling for Total Archery Challenge. Isaac's one of the founders. And they have their engineer, Brad, who came out here and helped me get my bow set up. He's running around to help people with things all the time. He's like, I had to stop by someone else's house nearby on my way to your house. Is that okay? I'm like, of course it's okay. Like, like I'm not going to say no. But, and then I forget the other gentleman we had here, Ben. He's super smart. Like, they just have a really well-rounded team now where they've grown enough to have that in place, to have that customer care, where I don't think Isaac knows half of what's going on. I don't even think Isaac knew that I got a bunch of new arrows and broadheads when I got this buck. And I called him. I said, I shot it with your bow and your new broadheads. He's like, when did you get the new broadheads? I was like, your guy brought them to me. He's like, he did? I didn't even know. That's great that they did that. And so they're a rock solid, kick-ass team over there.
What I loved is every time I've been to their little warehouse there with you guys, you can go talk to anyone in there who's assembling arrows. And like immediately I talked to the one guy, just like, show me what's going on. And next thing you know, he's part of the club that my cousin's the vice president of. They're going longbow hunting in Idaho together. And like everybody in there is super serious about what they do. They know, they take it really, really serious. Like they're building their own arrows. And like, that's super cool. I'm glad you had such a good experience, Bryce, because that's what we want.
Yeah, dude. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I fat fingered one of my orders online, and I called right away. And I think it was Brad, because he talked about just helping you with your bow. And he was in his garden doing some work, and he helped me out to change my order. And I thought that was really awesome.
Cool.
That's great. That's good to hear. I mean, that's a hell of a testimonial. Like, we didn't pay you to call, right?
No.
That's cool. Are you planning on coming to Foam Fest?
So I've been recommending them to. Yes, I do, if I'm free.
Great. Well, hopefully you are. I haven't talked. So talking about like getting out and shooting your bow at 3D archery events. Like ours is kind of like the one the last one I think you would do
Yeah.
before you go hunt elk or get into whitetail mode, because it's the very last weekend of August.
August 26th?
Yep. So it's kind of like come get all the final kinks worked out before you go into hunting season.
Yeah, Bryce, we'd love to see you there. Bring the arrows and let's go kill some foam.
I have a family camping trip to the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Then I'm going to take my girlfriend shooting for the first time that weekend.
Cool.
Hey, that's great. Yeah, I mean,
So sadly, I don't think I can make it.
no problem, man. Just spread the good word, and one of these years, hopefully, you can make it.
100%. Well, thank you guys. I won't take it any more of your time. You guys rock.
Hey, thanks for the
Thanks,
call,
man.
buddy. Have a good night.
We're okay. See you, man. We got another caller. This is one. It's out of Pennsylvania, so I'm optimistic that it's a favorable call. But you're live on the Okayest Hunter podcast. What's going on? What are you calling about?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I saw the topic was bow stuff, and since I'm just getting back into archery, it felt like a good time to call in.
Rock on. Well, my auto transcription said talk about boats, so I was like, I'm not sure, but I was like, well, no, it could have said bows.
Bow stuff
Bow
in
stuff.
boats could be fun.
Yeah.
Bow fishing.
Yeah. But I'm glad to hear you're a real caller and not a prankster, so that's good.
Yeah, they're both expensive, but you know what? Archery's scratch my itch a little bit more, man. Boats just seem like they're, you know, I think my father-in-law says bring on another 1,000 every third time we go out together.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what did someone say? My buddy's selling a boat right now. He's like, that's the best day of owning a boat is the day you get it and the day you get rid of it.
We drove by a really nice boat. I've got a very small little aluminum boat with a little tiny motor on that I take my kids fishing in. But we drove by a really nice boat by the Cedar Lake Marina today. Really nice fishing boat. My son's like, Dad, when are we going to get a boat like that? And I just chuckled, and he's like, why are you laughing? I was like, buddy, you'll figure it out.
When you grow up and understand how boats work, you'll know why we didn't get one.
Yeah, buddy. You'll get it. About 20 years.
So TAC was just in Pennsylvania. Did you go to TAC out there, or are you shooting any 3D events or anything?
Yeah, so I did go to TAC. I was working the BHA booth for part of it, but I also shot, ended up shooting the black rifle course one of the afternoons as well with my bear that I just got a couple months ago.
Ooh,
I heard you guys talking to the other caller about, you know, the benefits of shooting those kinds of things. And I really, as I get back into it, like it really does open your eyes to, you know, I never really used to even shoot a whole lot beyond 30 or 40 yards and would never shoot at a deer past 20. You know, you get to like 50, 60-yard targets for the first time, and it's really kind of like, man, if I could hit foam consistently and shoot, you know, a nice group here, those 20, 30-yard shots have to feel a little bit more manageable when you're in the woods.
100%. And, you know, you hear the argument, and I think it's way more commonly accepted with the younger crowd today and just seeing people shoot long distance on social media. But like so many of the older class, like guys and hunters, I would always hear, oh, I'm never going to shoot it at a deer over 30, so why would I practice at that? But you just mentioned, you put a target at 50 yards and take a couple shots, and you're going to see everything you're doing wrong. Like your form matters so much over an extended range that like all of a sudden you'll realize, holy cow, my sight is just a little bit to the right because at an extended range, I see it moving this way, or I'm torquing the bow. Like every little piece of your technique makes a difference.
We picked apart my technique pretty well. Like I was burying my face into the string. I thought, oh, this is my anchor point. I felt good at that point. I was creating a consistent result. Well, consistently bad result. So like it was nice and I was torquing the bow a little bit. So like these are like some of the like mechanics of it, the fundamentals that like Derek said will really show their face. But it's like run if you're gonna run for 10 miles, well the next day you're going a 3-mile run, that's gonna feel like a piece of cake.
Yep.
You know? So I think shooting at 60, but in real life you're probably gonna shoot at 20, maybe up to 30. That's gonna feel like a chip shot.
Yeah, I got to hear John Dudley speak at the last. I went to the TAC in 2021 as well, and he spoke at one of the events. I think it was that Saturday night, and he was talking a lot about his ideology and all the things that he does. And that was one of the things he said was, you know, practice at twice the distance that you would actually want your effective range to be to deer, right? So if it's going to be 25 as your max, then you practice out to 50. If it's going to be 30 and 60, et cetera. And it's like it makes a lot of sense. But for some reason, it just like didn't occur to me on my own to think about it that way.
The other thing I think is such a benefit of shooting at those like public events is there's always going to be phenomenal shooters there. And typically they're also like really good teachers. Like John Dudley is a teacher, right? Like if he sees you at the range, not that like everyone's going to go out and have John Dudley, but he's going to like be like, hey, can I like, you know, talk to you about this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's people who've done that for me, like just at a public range, like, hey, I just noticed, like, can I help you out with something? And like, have taught me a ton that I have no clue who these people are, but they were just like, this is their passion. They're at the range all the time, so they help you out. And I think that's a huge benefit to, like, especially novice or people just getting back into it.
Yeah. If you have an open mind, you're willing to hear what someone else has to say. Like, it might just very well be the thing that, oh, man, I was wondering why that kept happening. Like, why are my groups all to the left? And it might be something you're doing and it's not your boat.
And that's why groups like Okayest Hunter exist, man. How about full circle?
Hey, perfect segue.
I will not tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. But wait, I did just get my kids a ambidextrous bear spark. And so the arrows that it came with are fletched wrong. And the knock is glued on, so I can't rotate it. So they're leaving the whisker biscuit not in the way that they should. So they're fishtailing out of the arrow. And I'm like, a couple years ago, I wouldn't have known that this was even like something worth paying attention to. But I'm like, I'm also not going to refletch these damn kid arrows. It's fine.
That seems like a lot of messing around. I get the bow press out and everything and really tune the whole thing.
All right, kids, let's get this thing figured out here. But it's fun to see them doing it. And like, yeah, they seem to appreciate it so far.
Hey, I just got to ask, since you mentioned you were at the BHA booth, are you volunteering? You working with BHA out of Pennsylvania?
Yes, I was a volunteer helping out with running the booth for the weekend. So I'm on the board for the Pennsylvania chapter as the vice chairman. So I got involved a couple years ago, and really, this is totally my personal views and all that. But I've really, found a home in BHA, and I think it's a great group of guys and girls. And so I try to help out a lot of that stuff. And TAC is one of the events that's in my backyard. It's about an hour and a half or so for me. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, I guess if I have to go work the booth with my friends and shoot my bow for the weekend, I'll go.
Oh,
Twist my arm.
yeah. Probably got some free food too.
Yeah, well, not as much as you might think. I'd say free like Clif bars and energy chews and that kind of stuff, but close enough. Gatorades, all the good stuff when it's hot. And it actually wasn't that bad temperature-wise the one day that we shot, but a couple other days it was like mid-80s and really humid, and that can be just heavy when you're breathing that air.
Well, hey, on behalf of all the sportsmen, thank you for volunteering and joining that organization. We're pretty big fans of BHA here in Wisconsin and nationwide, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Your uncle have something to do with it, or?
Yeah, well, my cousin Gary's acting president right now of the BHA Wisconsin, because our buddy Joe is helping out with some issues at home with his wife.
Yep.
So we love those guys.
It's cool. No, that's a great group, and it's cool. Like, there's a lot of, I don't know, it seems like Pennsylvania has a huge hunting population. I don't know if it's bigger than Wisconsin or Michigan, but it's up there. Like, you guys are one of the bigger states for this stuff, and the fact that TAC was just there, it's cool to hear from folks from Pennsylvania. And then I get emails from you guys as W or DNR or whatever all the time because I bought tags for the 1 year I went there, so I still get all the updates.
The 1 year or the 1 day?
The 1 year, and it was literally 1 day, yeah. But, no, it's cool.
It's all it takes, man. You're with us now. If you ever guys are ever out this way, definitely feel free to connect with me. Let us know. I won't keep too much of your guys' time in case you go to the college, but appreciate you guys spreading the right message. I stumbled on you guys not too long ago, and I think that the community needs a lot of positive voices out there. So glad to see you guys continuing that trend.
Appreciate it, man. You have a good one. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy.
Take care, guys.
You too.
I wanted to know what kind of bear bow he bought. He said it was new. I forgot to ask. I tried, and I didn't want to interrupt, so it's kind of whatever. Maybe I'll have another reason to call back. But that Legend XR, like, short of the twang it was making when my my sight was a little off, I think that dampened most of the sound because it wasn't initially doing that. I was like, whoa, how did it get loud all of a sudden?
Sounded way better once we tightened it up.
So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think I just need to get more time with it, more comfortable.
100%.
And I got to get that confidence back when I get the tape right. And the ZMRs, they're still fairly heavy, so they do drop faster than like a regular arrow. So I don't know if the math on that tape is going to be perfect. I'm probably going to be a little off. But the way that I had it set up was I had it set to 20 and to 35 because 35 is the back wall at Whaletails. That's as far as I could get it.
You could get.
So, and then they had to redo it. I don't remember what he did, but he's like, he did something off. He's like, hey, I had to redo it, so I need you to go and remark your 20.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
And at that point,
And you didn't have as much time.
I didn't. At that point, the kids
were.
were at the tail end of what they could tolerate, and so I was like, "Yeah, looks good." And I didn't feel like I could have probably thrown another couple.
Well,
more. Plus, my shoulder was getting a little bit tired from shooting so much. Like eventually,
it might be hard to do before we leave, but one day you guys should come up, the whole family, to West Bend.
Sure.
We'll do a play date. I
Yep.
can drag you out. Gus can come. Logan, bring the little bow, and we can go out to that little public range that goes out to 60.
That's right.
Because that could be one thing that's wrong with your sight tape. Like those of you who shoot single pin or adjustable sights and you get the sight tapes, like you really need to shoot at 20 and at 60. Like some of them say 40, which is okay, but obviously the wider your gap, the more accurate it's going to be at, at predicting your arrow drop.
Sure.
So 20 and 60 is going to be way more accurate to choose the right sight tape to be accurate than if you did 20 and 35. It can still vary quite a
close.
bit.
And that's usually where I start seeing my indifferences or whatever, like the shortcomings or gaps was like the 30 to 40. I was like, how was I under? How was I over?
Yeah.
It was like, it was very confusing because I thought, I should be fine. And I was trying to overcompensate a little bit because of the drop. And then I was just, it was just kind of like,
I think
I
if
was
we got
guessing
you,
a lot.
if we got you back and got you to 60, I think we could get you.
Yeah. Yeah, because my old bow, the Bear Empire, which is an old bow, but it's also my old bow now. Dude, that thing was great. Even at 60, I could put it right in the spot.
You'll get there.
It was great. But it was honestly, it wasn't anything to do with me. It was like, I set the pin to 60, I shoot at 60, and it did what it was supposed to do. And now I do that, I'm like, wait, what's happening? What am I supposed to do in this situation? And I'm not trying to lose arrows. I don't want to take advantage of our partner.
Ideally, no. We'll get it dialed in, man.
But it was cool to hear Bryce got some method arrows and was happy with how they treated him, that he fat fingered the order and they responded back right away. We get some of that with our stuff too. I think people, like a lot of times, usually the complaint we get, not a complaint, but what happens most commonly is someone has an old address pre-saved in their phone. They just go through the order process, boom, and they're like, oh crap, it's shipping to this other address I had pre-canned in my Google account or something. And so we get a note, hey, I put in the wrong address. And if we don't catch it soon enough, it's out,
Yeah.
And our orders go out fast.
They go out super fast.
So we're like, that's actually a blessing and a curse, which is what we realized, because like, hey, it'll go out almost immediately. But then if like you mess something up, like
Not good.
now it's already a package deal. It's out the door.
See ya.
So tell us right away, or hopefully catch it right away. Otherwise, we're gonna like do some recall, and that's never fun for anybody. But we try to take really good care of our customers. I think we've sold. I mean, I would love to see the numbers, but we've been around for almost 2 years now with this thing, and I think we've definitely sold in every state. I just think we might have done it twice now.
Cool.
Like twice over at least.
It's pretty impressive and pretty incredible.
Impressive.
It's incredibly impressive. Oh my gosh, that's what my aunt and my mom always do. They're very hyperactive people, so like
Words are coming out faster.
yeah. So my aunt invented the word gription. She's talking about tires, and she's like, they have great gription. And we're like, what? She's like, yeah,
Traction.
grip and traction, gription.
That's great.
Absolutely, used
That's
it ever
great.
since.
Keith, good chatting with you. Oh, Keith was his name. Great. Good to chat with you, Keith. Well,
From PA.
Tell us what kind of bow you ended up getting there. I got the Legend XR from Bear, and I enjoy it so far, although I've only shot it like twice. Well, 3 times.
And Bear Archery has done a really good job in the last decade, really kind of like revamping what they stand for and what they're making bows for, like the working class everyday, like here's some
Get a
bows
bow
that
into
don't
everyone's
cost $2,000. Like
Yep.
their mantra is really, really good. And I think they've done a great job promoting archery, teaming up with the THP guys. Like they're doing good things.
Yeah, I actually got to guest on their podcast. Bear Archery has their own podcast. I think it's airing next week or something. So if you're listening to this, it's the 20th. I think it comes out, I don't know, the last week of June or something. Who knows what I say on these things. I don't ever know what I say on other podcasts. I'm always like cringing. Like, I really like what you said on this podcast, Eric. Shit, what I say. I don't know. I try not to swear on that one. I try not to swear on other podcasts.
Be very wholesome.
Yeah. We swear on ours, and I think I try to do it less these days, but it still just comes right out. I can't.
Something about this brown juice really opens up my
the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
my sailor in me.
It tastes nice. It's not bad. I don't know. I was doing Scotch for so long. I think Scotch is great, but I've really started to like the bourbon. It's just it's a little bit sweeter. It's not as, I think the word is peaty because of peat moss,
I don't even
which
know.
like tastes like smoke.
What does the peat moss do?
It makes
Do they
it taste
use
like
that
smoke.
in the process?
That's what makes Scotch because it's out of like Ireland or whatever, and there's all that moss. So like how they cultivate it. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Someone else can tell. There's actually another podcast called Whiskey and Whitetails, and I think they make whiskey for real. Like I think that's their main gig is they like actually make whiskey.
Now they have a podcast.
And they have a podcast. They had commented on one of our posts the other day, and I was like, "Oh shit, this looks like a legit." Like I know we drink bourbon and talk deer every week, but we're not coined that term. Yeah,
That's pretty legit.
So I would be curious if someone would want to. I can't get words out of my mouth. If someone would want to correct me on why that is the way that it is.
I'm sure there's some connoisseurs out there.
Yeah,
Who can
he
help
got
us
the
out.
Resurgence ready to hunt package. I don't know which one the Resurgence is, but I know the one on the wall here, if you're watching live or on YouTube, is the Bear Legit, and that's a ready to hunt. And what that means is basically it's coming out of the box ready to go. I actually took the sight pin off of this
It's got the
because
rest.
I wanted it to sit on the wall flush. It was like, I don't remember what else. I was trying to hang it differently before, and I just hung it from the string instead of the frame.
Like the ready to hunt package here, the bear one.
They have like
I
a
mean,
part
it
two
is
trophy
it is
ridge.
literally set up.
Yep,
like
you're good to go.
There's a D loop on it. There's a peep sight on it. They have even a stabilizer, like the wrist rope to hold on. You got your sight, your rest, obviously. So all you're going to be doing is sending arrows downrange and then setting up your bow to shoot your arrows correctly.
Yeah, obviously your draw length will come into play at some point, but like my buddy Joel, who won the Legit last year,
And he
shot
did
the
not
course
win it
with
just
us.
because he's your buddy.
This
there
is
was
true.
a system.
Yeah, there was. He just happened to also suck at shooting. And he was shooting like a really old bow. But so he deserved it. Fine. But he went and shot with us after the fact because we didn't get to shoot because we were busy all day at Foam Fest running the Foam Fest event. So then when everyone left, we all went out and shot the course, which was awesome because we had it all to ourselves. It was beautiful. It was raining a little bit, but it was fine. And he came along. And he didn't miss a single target
With the brand new
bow he had never shot before.
We played with it on the indoor range for like 15 to 20 minutes. So like he was like, so that's what I loved. Here, you won the new bow. He's like, both of the people who won bows
Can
were
I
like,
shoot it?
Can we shoot it? Can we sight it in right now? We're like, let's do it.
Yeah, I think Greg busted out the Allen wrench because like these you can adjust the limbs.
Your poundage, yeah.
Yeah, so he was helping this one gal back it down a bunch so she could draw back. And she was like, I've never won anything in my life.
She was, both of them were super. It was awesome. That was perfect.
That made the whole thing for me. Is those guys winning those, and we had some great products. We have some really good products giveaway this year too. I've been hard at work behind the scenes, just hitting everybody up. I'm probably annoying a lot of brands.
No,
like it's that freaking Eric guy with that stupid Okayest hunter. What does he want? But yeah, people are getting ready to send us some pretty cool stuff, and it's all like archery centric. I'm trying to do things that like, you know, what would you want to get if you go to an archery event? So we're talking like really nice sights. We're talking optics. We're talking bows, like stuff that you're going to want for your arsenal for bow hunting.
Heck yeah. Archery shoot.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who hasn't started archery hunting but is thinking about it,
go get a crossbow. Just kidding.
I mean, if that works for you,
yeah.
definitely do it. Crossbows are pricey. Holy cow. Like new ones, like really good ones, but so are bows.
Yeah.
But like bow hunting seems like it's this super expensive thing, and it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you can go to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever.
I have bought used bows.
You get ready to hunt.
For like the last 12 to 15 years, all I've bought is used bows off of Archery Talk, their classified forum. Which is slowly dying out. There's like tons of Facebook forums, archery, sale and trade, but you can get these really nice bows that are maybe 2 or 3 years old that have probably been cared for very well for a couple $100 that are set up ready to go. So like, don't feel like you need to pay $2,000 for this latest and greatest, like brand new flagship bow. You're not going to reap the benefits of it because you don't know what a shitty bow feels like. You know what I mean?
Like
if it's your first
yeah.
bow and it's a great bow, good for you if you can afford it, make it happen. But like you're not going to know how great it is because you haven't shot anything else.
Yeah.
You don't have to get just because like your favorite celebrity Instagram hunter is shooting this. You can start with a $300 full setup bow used and you'll be fine. That's what I've done for the last 15 years.
We talk about a ready to hunt out of the box. Like you can go buy a bow used, it'll be ready to hunt because likely some other hunter has it fully outfitted with all the sights and stabilizers and everything else you'd need, and they've probably already killed deer with it. And now maybe they're ready to upgrade. So they're going to try to get some money to help offset that cost. Like the first one I ever got was a hand-me-down for my dad, and I got a gift card to an archery shop, and we put a new sight on it, and I bought a
Release?
Thank you, a release, which is the same release I still use today. I've had it for, actually, I'm wondering if like how often you should replace those things.
No, if it's working.
But it feels
just
great.
Make sure
like the mechanics seem
lubricated if it needs to be lubricated.
Yeah. So other than that, like I think that was like $150 in on a bow that my dad gave me, the Dart and Viper. And then I bought the one I have for $150 fully outfitted with like Trophy Ridge stuff. I didn't upgrade to the new HHA Tetra until like a couple years ago on there, and that helped. But otherwise, that killed 3 deer, a doe, and 2 bucks. Missed a few, but whatever. It worked just fine. And so hopefully this next one's great too. But I had another point I was going to make in there. What the hell was it? Yeah, I was talking to someone at work today, and they're talking about crossbows, and he's a gun hunter. He's like, I've never bow hunted. I don't have the time to shoot bows. So he's like, I'm kind of thinking I would like to get the extra season, and I may start with a crossbow because I then don't have to get into archery, but I can bow hunt.
It's a
so
great
to speak.
transition.
And I thought, there is something to that. Maybe that is an interesting way. Like they talked about how they, being the industry, I suppose, has talked about how like crossbows have been really helpful as a recruitment tool to bring more people in. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, people saying, well, that's BS. We shouldn't be doing that. That's not really bow hunting. I don't care what you call it. It's still hunting.
Absolutely.
It's gun hunting, it's bow hunting, and both of those fall into the category of hunting. So a crossbow still falls under hunting. Like I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that at all. And if that gets you to then try a compound, like I started gun hunting. I was a gun hunter first and foremost, and I did that for years where I even put my hands on a bow. So I think you have to start somewhere.
I think we just talked to someone. Was it last week on the podcast? Who said that they were crossbow hunters. They started with a crossbow, and they're...
Was it Jake Bush? No, I'm kidding.
It was not. It was not Jake Bush. No, it wasn't Jake Bush. But I think we talked to a caller who had just said that they, had been listening to a lot of stuff about archery and is now getting a compound bow. They'd it's called a cross gun. They had crossbow hunted for a few years, and now we're transitioning. And like, you don't have to transition to full-on archery.
My buddy Clay shoots a crossbow, and he loves it. And
if you have the time to shoot compound, like, it's a beautiful sport, and like, you don't have to be a hunter to enjoy archery. Like, archery is like the only place you can like hang up everything you're thinking about and like just focus on one. Like, it's beautiful, but like, you don't have to do that. Like, you can be a crossbow hunter. That's fine.
I would say they freak me out, but that's a lot of stored energy.
Yeah.
Like,
you see the new ones?
And they look. They're all.
We
like,
were talking about
sleek.
Raven. I saw a Raven one.
Yeah.
It was about 9 inches wide. The string between the cams was about
it's like
2
a bird
inches.
in full dive mode coming at the sea to like.
Looks
pluck
like
out
a peregrine falcon diving. Like, I was like, how does this even work without exploding? How many shots can you go through that with that amount of
stored energy just sitting there waiting to
without
release.
Those things blowing? Impressive. Whoever engineers those is just wild. Good work.
It's crazy. I mean, there's stored energy even in this, right?
Yeah,
so
for
you
sure.
A freaking bow press to work on it. It's like a lot of stuff can be intimidating. It's interesting. Like I think some people, like if you've never hunted, a gun can be intimidating. Like purchasing a firearm and ammo and going to a gun range, that can be intimidating for some people.
100%.
And then you get this bow in their hands, got all these cams, all this stuff. No one knows what the hell half this shit is. Like I remember getting into bow hunting as a young man. I was like, I don't even know what's happening here. But then if you can find a mentor, like I know we talked to the Hunting Common, our friend John Stelflew and some of those guys, and Tony Cordero, who's usually in the comments. Like they have programs set up to help find mentors. A lot of us were fortunate to have a dad or a relative or an uncle or a friend help us. And if you don't have that, it can feel like, well, I don't even know where to start. If you just walk into your archery shop, they're going to help you. And they would take great pride in bringing you through the whole entire like life cycle of that, And so like, I think it's cool that my kids just got their first bow and they're 4 and 6 or going to be 4 and 6. And like, they're watching me, so they wanted to do it. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm not forcing them. They took an interest. I'm going to just fan the flames a little bit.
It's the I've been watching you song, right? The country song?
Yeah.
Had I been watching.
And so like they have me to look up to and to teach them, which I feel bad for if I should use on the video of my
don't
son.
you
He just
dare.
straight up missed the target.
Don't you dare. No,
I'm just joking, but a lot of people don't have that. And it's like, they want to know where their food comes from. They want to sort of hunt their own. And you don't even like, the thing I thought about with hunting and with my kids is if my daughter decides like, I love animals and I can't kill one, she might still fall in love with archery. And
100%.
like that's still a really therapeutic thing to be involved with in and of itself. There's a lot of people that just shoot archery and don't hunt at all.
Yeah, it's I mean, you almost don't want to call it a sport. Like it's just this great.
It's literally in the Olympics though, right?
It is 100. Yeah, it definitely is, and it is like it's just I don't know. Archery is like this interesting, cool pastime that like it's a rabbit hole like anything else. And if you want to like really excel at it, like there's a million different little segues you can take, or you can just have a wooden bow in the backyard.
Do you have a trad bow at all?
Yeah, I've got a longbow and 2 recurves.
Do you shoot them?
I haven't shot them in a little while, but I used to shoot them quite a bit.
Have you ever hunted with them?
Yeah, I took
any success?
I took a bear grizzly recurve.
I thought you were about to tell me you shot a fucking bear with your recurve.
I took it bear hunting.
Oh God!
And my cousin
bigger
Gary,
target. I'll give you that.
who's the backcountry hunters and anglers, helped me make my own cedar shaft arrows. We fletched them with my turkey feathers and like the whole deal.
What
painted
is
crests
happening?
on them,
Oh my
like
God.
it was. And then I totally blew it, man. Like totally blew it.
Well, yeah, you're shooting a collector. You're shooting a collector's item at a wild animal.
I had this beautiful black bear come in. My bait's like 14 or 15 yards. It's like right where I wanted to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so... Dave Bechtel was actually with me filming. So he's in the tree filming me. I've never been filmed before. This is like a long time ago, I started drawing back on this bear. Beautiful big bear. I mean, like 250 pounds probably. I didn't even get close to my anchor point, and I just shot. I'm like, what? Like the arrow went over its back. I'm like, what did I just do? Like it was just a different sequence of events than like pulling back, anchoring. Like I just drew back, and I was so excited. I just shot. Bear runs off. No idea what happened. Just heard a stick fall. 20 minutes later, comes back in. I missed the dang thing twice.
Oh no!
Comes back in. I did the same thing. I draw back. I almost made it to my anchor point, and I just shot. And I'm like, wow, this is really hard. Like I'm not prepared for this.
Oh, dude.
So I gave it a shot, and I was unsuccessful. I couldn't hold it together. I went back out the next weekend with my compound and shot a bear. It was way easier.
Good for you for trying. Like
easier.
The first bows I ever shot, I think it was a recurve. My dad had in the garage, and I was like, she set up a target in the backyard, and I got to go just shoot that. So I learned as a kid, I don't remember much of it. Like I have very faint, vague memory of it, but I know the first bows I ever shot was that.
I think that's a great way to get started because it's like,
and that in of itself,
style.
Instinctive. Instinctive is the word. That is a word that taps into that part of your like, I don't know, our heritage as a Homo sapien that used to like compete with Neanderthals. F that word.
Neanderthals?
Okay. Because is it Neanderthal or Neanderthal? I don't know. I don't want to sound like an arrogant prick when I say Neanderthal, but I've heard Joe Rogan talk about the same damn thing. And so I was in a conversation. I said Neanderthals. They're like, what the hell are you talking about, Eric? I was like,
You're like, damn it!
I'm trying to sound like a smart person here. This is bullshit. Fine, it's Neanderthal. I don't care, but we coexisted. Anyway, primitive stuff. We do have a... I'm just going to bring him in before we drink too much bourbon. Craig, you're live on the podcast. It's been a hot minute. Thanks for calling in. What's going on, buddy?
It has been a while. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right, man.
We're on bourbon number 2.5 or something. That'll answer the question.
That's nice. Yeah, I just wanted to call in. You guys were talking about getting started in the archery, and I got my daughter started in archery the end of last year. She's always been like my biggest fan as far as hunting goes, and seeing if I brought anything home and whatnot. So I had gotten her like a Bear Brave, I think it was, youth model. I think I got off like Marketplace for $20. And I signed her up for a local archery place for beginner lessons that I took her to. And she was 6 at the time. the class was supposed to be for like 8 and up, but she's real tall, so we kind of snuck her in there, and she did fantastic. Good enough that the team was getting ready to enter competitions for indoor target archery. They asked her to join the team.
Wow.
So she turned 7 in January, and I upgraded her bow. I bought her a PSC. I forget what model it was, but she ended up taking second in the state of Pennsylvania for the championship in indoor target.
Holy cow!
Wow,
man. Well
natural.
done.
You must be so freaking proud.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm stoked, and actually 2 weeks ago, she went from indoor target, and then springtime, they did the 3D season, and she placed 3rd in the state for Pennsylvania for the 3D season.
Congrats to your daughter, man. That's impressive.
Yeah, so it's been great. She loves it. She's actually at practice right now. I'm at work, but it doesn't take. I wanted to call in. It doesn't take much to get them started. If they're interested, all you got to do as a parent is just put the bow in their hand and give them the basics. I taught her 3 things at a time. You know, it started with their feet, nose on the string, and not, yanking the trigger. And we just practiced 3 things at a time. Once she got those 3 things down, then we moved on to 3 more things. But it's the exposure that's, up to us to getting them into things. Now, her friend that's on her team, now she's 7 now. She's shooting in Junior Eagle, and so that's like 8 and up. Her friend got 1st in the state, so she went down to Illinois this past weekend and won the national championship, and she's 9 years old.
That's really cool that not only do you... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make a plug if anybody was interested. It's the group that runs it is called S3DA Archery. It's all youth. If you go on their website, they have a map. It can't be any easier. You go on their map, you can look up for your area, and it gives every local archery shop that is involved with S3DA youth archery in your area.
Say that again. SD. What are you saying?
S3DA?
It's, yep, Sam 3, D as in Dan, A as in Apple.
Cool. Okay, I just want to have you say S3D because my dyslexic self, I'm like SD3. I'm saying it wrong already, but I'm on their website now. So s3da.net is the site, archery programs for the youth. So I'll have to take a look because my daughter's
and as you zoom in, it'll expand and it'll give you more more defined search for that. So if anybody's interested in getting their kids into it, it's been a great program. I've been pleased with it, and so it's going good. Next, she has an outdoor target, which is she'll be shooting the furthest she's ever shot, which is 20 yards. So she's been kind of nervous about that, but I just want to make that plug. And it's been a while, so glad you guys are doing good.
Yeah, we're doing okay, man, and that's a great plug. Thank you. It's one that I'll look into, and you're in PA also, right? We had another caller call from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Man,
Berks County area.
So we're not going to get you. It's unlikely that we'd get you guys to come to our foam fest. It's like a 10-hour drive. Well,
listen, I just took the trip down to Texas last season. That was like 26 hours we drove.
Oh, yeah.
But I would like to come. Maybe not this foam fest, but the one after that. Have to do some planning and stuff. But I would like to come down there for that.
Well, hey, congratulations to your daughter for doing such a great job and picking up on it. And sounds like she's got a great mentor and her friend there who's a little bit older and just won the championship. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing, Dad.
Yeah, dude. And if you were around
thanks.
here, I'd take some lessons from you, too. It sounds like you're a great teacher, so that's great. I love the 3 things and the 3 things. That's a great I'll have to impart some of that myself. That's good stuff. But... Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, Craig, have a good night, man. Thanks for calling.
All right, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it, buddy.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that's so great to hear, kids and youth getting into it. A buddy of mine that I went to high school with that I kind of got started into archery, he's been doing it with his son, shooting an indoor league. It's like a father or parent-child, because there's moms and daughters who shoot it also. But they've been doing that for like 2 years. His son's like 9. Absolutely loves it, plugging paper targets in the indoor range. And
we had to go to, I'm a member at Horkenmarsh Bowman, which is an archery club. and they just converted to a 501c3, which means they're officially a not-for-profit, nonprofit organization as of June 1st. That doesn't have much to do with the price of tea in China. I'm just saying. It's made things challenging to host an event there, but we got figured out. Nonetheless, I think they're like halfway between you and I. And I think that'd be a really fun spot for us to go with our kids because they have a great course, they have good indoor stuff.
Now that you're a member, because I think in order to be a member, you have to be...
I can sponsor you.
But even to become a member, I think you need to be brought in by a member.
Correct.
Because I looked into, because I was like, after we did the shoot, I was like, well, I want to become a member here. And I was like, well, I don't really know anyone who is a member. But now I know you, and you're a member. Yeah. So
I could, and I'm allowed to bring a guest. I can go anytime I want. I have the gate key and all that stuff or whatever. But that'd be a fun thing to do, and it'd help get the kids out of our wives' hairs. And
we absolutely need to do this.
And now that my kids have a bow, I'm definitely doing some plugs for Bear here. I mean, obviously they've given us a couple bows to give away, and we don't have any sort of like official partnership or anything, but I went to Fleet Farm and they had all the youth bows at Fleet Farm. So the reason that was cool was because I'm a last minute kind of guy. And my desire for Father's Day was to do that, to shoot bows with the kids. And I was like, I should have went on Bear's site and like ordered this so I would have had it for Father's Day. I didn't, but they have a good retail presence. And so they had all the bows that I would have expected to buy online at the retailer, but they were the only ones. There was not other youth bows or other branded youth bows.
Just Bears.
Just Bear. So Bear seems to have done a really good job with like getting in front of like the youth with good products. And the fact that they had an ambidextrous one, I was going to buy two bows, one for my middle child and my oldest child, but they had the ambidextrous one.
We need to circle back to that point, by the way.
Okay. So the reason I think that was cool is I only had to buy one bow because I wasn't sure which I didn't know if they were going to be left or right because, as you had noted, my son was shooting a lefty. He was shooting left-handed. My daughter was shooting right-handed.
I noticed
so
right
the
away.
same bow, they're shooting differently. And I was like, look, you guys, you're not going to both be shooting at the same time anyways. You're going to be taking turns.
100%.
Because I'm not going to have two kids shoot a bow. Like, you guys are too crazy. And so one bow worked out. But I'm just saying, like, Bear's done a good job of having a good array of youth bows because they have, like, ages 4 to 8, 8 to 12, whatever. They have these different age groups where like both of my children can pull this thing back, and it's got two little cams, so they feel like it's a little bit more legit than like a Nerf gun or something.
Yeah.
And they're shooting it at a target. We have another caller. What's going on with all the call signs? This is great. Did you have another point you want to make?
I did, but do you want to take the caller first?
Let's bring the caller on. Are you good at remembering?
Yes.
I'm not. Okay.
Just remember this. Remember
that.
Yeah.
Grady calling in about Slingshot and not the car. So looks like you're calling in from Florida. Brady, you're live on the Okayest. Grady.
Hey, what's up?
You're live. How's it going?
No, my name's not Grady. It's Granny. Like your old, your grandma. Granny.
All right. Well, good.
How we doing,
that's
Granny?
A new name. That's awesome, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, no, I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, no, y'all ever had one of those like pullback slingshots that like attaches to your arm, dude?
The
I've
wrist
killed
rocket.
so many squirrels. I got a coat now.
Heck yeah, I shot one of those all the time when I was a kid.
The entry point. That's the gateway right there.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. Well, I was actually really calling. Have you guys ever been like bow fishing?
My dad took me a long time ago. I know he didn't take me. I think we went fishing and people were bow fishing. And they were fishing for carp. I feel like I've gone with I did go with someone once, but it was like, I didn't do it, but I was like there. But a lot of guys have like fully rigged boats with lights, all sorts of stuff. It's like they're into that more than they're into anything else. And they go at night and they're just freaking like shooting carp with bows and reeling them in. But it sounds like it's a little challenging because is it called refraction?
Yeah, shoot low.
Like, yeah. Anyway.
Right, yeah, because you've got to shoot lower than them, and there's like it's like compound bow basically with a reel on it and the arrows attached to the string. So I mean, it could break. Like you hit a big gator with it or whatever, which I don't know if that's legal. So let me take that back. Don't ever shoot a gator.
Well, that was
with a reel and
hypothetical.
bow.
Yeah, it could have been a log and whatever.
So is this something you do
Right,
quite
yeah.
a bit?
No, but I've been a few times. I'm from Florida, so like I've eaten armadillos and like all kinds of weird stuff. But I have been bow fishing a few times. It's a lot of fun, especially with a speck. Do they call them speck there? I don't know where y'all are from.
We're in Wisconsin. What's spec? Does that just mean like the thing is like kind of decked out? Like the bow?
No, like brim, bluegill,
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah,
We call
yeah.
them panfish up here.
panfish. There you go. Yeah, yeah. A lot of times that's what they'll go for. I mean, you can't really get a lot of the bigger stuff with them. You know what I mean? But manatee. Wait, no. I take that one back.
Good target there.
They
though.
take a
Lots
lot of. They take a lot of from the boat prop.
We have a lot of people up here who
We-
are really interested in that. And like you see the boats. I see bow fishing boats all over the place.
They have more lights than like.
Yeah, the LEDs mounted all
yeah.
around. Sorry, Granny, go ahead.
The easiest part about bow fishing manatee is it's easy. You know what I mean? Like they don't move very fast.
Big
it's
target.
A large target. Yeah, and they're delicious, dude.
You're in Florida. There's this dude on TikTok. I can't think of his name right now, but he like walks around the Everglades barefoot at night. He's like, oh, just walk around the Everglades. Oh, here's a poisonous snake. The guy's got like 2 million followers. I forget what his name is on TikTok.
Ooh, I mean,
It's crazy.
I've
stuff.
encountered a lot of poisonous snakes, but like, yeah, the Everglades barefoot, dude. First of all, ticks. That would be my biggest worry. F the snakes, dude. The ticks in between your toes. That'd be my biggest worry.
Sounds sketchy. You guys got more stuff to worry down there, worry about than we do up here. Gators and ticks.
Yeah, man.
The gators, man.
The heat.
I don't like
It's
the
like all of it sounds terrible. All right, so do you do any like deer hunting down there in Florida or no? Because I know that's the thing. People deer hunt in Florida.
I mean, yeah, I've been deer hunting. They're tiny though, dude. You don't really even need a gun. You can basically just wrestle them. You know what I mean? Like they're not big. They're not big or anything. So, like Key West, dude, they got tiny little deer, man.
deer.
That's not even. You just hit them with a bag, dude. You don't need a bow. You don't need nothing. You just run up on them with a bag, dude, because they're on an island. And where are they gonna go?
Very low entry fee to get into that.
I don't think you can hunt
Yeah.
the key deer, but they are really small. They're tiny. They might be protected.
Yeah, man, I've just talked about it. Hunting all kinds of endangered species.
Well, I don't think
Oh,
manatees
man.
aren't endangered. I think it's, but I don't think it's
As long
legal.
as Granny's not your real name, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, yeah. Well, anyway, I've called you guys before. I don't know if you recall. I was using a different voice at the time, though.
Were you Carl one week? Was that you? No, I don't know.
I reckon my name isn't Carl, it's Granny.
Yeah, that's Carl from Louisiana
Yeah.
right
Our down south caller.
there. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks
Yeah,
for
it was
calling,
me.
man.
We
It's good to hear
appreciate
from
the
you.
humor.
We'll go.
And also, everybody go Okayest Hunter. Everybody go follow Okayest Hunter. Oh, I forgot to say I was live. That's probably illegal, but whatever. I've already talked about killing manatees. So.
That's got to be a hell of a meat haul. What do you do with a whole manatee?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I hope they float.
Well,
What you dragging there, Sonny?
you freeze half of it, dude.
Oh, man. Well, you have a good night, buddy. Thanks for the call.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Later.
We learned something new about
There's
one of our
Carl.
callers. He's got different aliases. He might call back as someone else next time. But it did say Grady. So he did give himself a name. Carl, Granny.
Grady Granny.
Anytime I see so he's calling from, where did it go? Ocala, Florida. Oh, did it just disappear on me? Oh, it just dropped off my screen completely. So if there's an Ocala, Florida, I'll have to make a mental note of that we can have some fun with that caller.
Good manatee fishing.
Never shot a gator. No, I mean, I'm not saying, no, I never did it. Yeah, we know people. I do know people in Florida. We got a couple followers down there. Calder, huge comment coming through here. I'm just going to read it instead of posting it to the screen. I'll post it to the screen, but it's going to take up a lot of real estate. As someone who got themselves into bow hunting in their 20s, it seemed very intimidating. Cost, correct gear, bow fitting, and so on. Bottom line, I just pushed myself to walk into my local bowl shop. What is with us mixing words tonight? To walk into my local bow shop. That is a tongue twister. They were extremely helpful, worked on my budget. worked with my experience level and were not judgmental at all about my situation because they are so passionate about what they do and getting others involved. People who work in the bow industry do it because they love it. That's true. And I know when we had Michael Waddell on 2 years ago or whatever, that January, I got to go down and talk to him at ATA. One of the examples he gave was like, he walked into a snowboarding shop and he felt like there are certain pro shops or archery shops that might be condescending.
Like elitist?
Yes. And he said he experienced that walking into a snowboard shop. He's like, I need a snowboard. They're like, oh, yeah, what kind do you want? He's like, I don't want one that goes down a hill. Like, I don't
help
know.
me out.
Yeah. I have no experience. Like, help me out. So I think if you go in there and you are vulnerable, right? Like you're humble, you have some humility, and like I think people can pick up on that and they'll help you out.
Absolutely.
Like, I usually lead with humility.
One of the callers, the gentleman from PA, sorry, I don't remember his name, but he mentioned John Dudley. Keith mentioned John Dudley, who, if you're not familiar, kingpin of the archery world, like phenomenal competition shooter, guy does knock on TV, all this stuff. I just listened to like one of his, like how he got started in it stories, and he went to his local archery shop because he was interested as like a 14-year-old kid and just hung out there all day for like 4 days in a row.
Like, this freaking kid out.
And then what he had said was like, eventually the owner was like, hey kid, come here. Grab these arrows. You ever fletch an arrow? And he was like, no. And he's like, well, here's how you do it. And he showed him this jig, and the kid's like, why am I doing this? He goes, well, I forgot to make this guy's arrows, and he just walked in, so I need you to make them.
You can hang around my bow.
John Dudley fletched all these arrows, and like he started working there, and like that's how he got his start. Is like cool. These people just said like, here's a kid who's interested. Obviously, the kid showed up. Let's teach him. And now that's what he does for his job.
Man, that's cool. There's a cute example of that in this. I've been reading this book, The Daily Dad. I read a little bit every day. Yeah. And there's an example of something like that where, like, if someone's observing and watching, like, you can just teach them. Hey, do you want to learn how to do this? Now, in the book, it gave an example of like a stranger teaching a kid how to play tennis or something. And you want to be some tennis superstar. I'm not saying like we should expect strangers to teach us things. As parents, we should be observing our children and know what we should be teaching them based on their interests. Like we should, allegedly, right? Should. It's relative, but that's what I was like. Oh, my kids are watching me do this. They took a keen interest. I should probably help them with that.
Which transitions into this.
Okay, let's go.
So we've talked about this before, but if anybody didn't know this, my dad started me in archery when I was pretty young, 7 or 8 years old, probably. Browning Micromidas compound bow. I was right-handed, so I got a right-handed bow, which is incorrect. For me, I'm personally
right-handed, but it is called a right-handed bow, even though I hold it with my left because you're drawing back with your right.
Yep, it's because you're right-eye dominant.
Yeah,
right. So I'm left-eye dominant, which my dad didn't really check or think about. I mean, it wasn't a thing. Like I did everything right-handed. I was good with my right hand. Here's a right-handed bow, perfect. And I shot, but the issue was my left eye, whatever my little brain deficiency is, like could not let my right eye focus. Like I tried to close it. I just couldn't do it. Like my left eye would not let my right eye do it. So I wore a patch for years and years and years. And I would keep an eye patch up above my left eye in my hat. And then when I was about to shoot a deer or shoot at whatever, I'd have to pull it down, cover my left eye so I could not see with it. And I shot with my right eye for years and years and years. And then in my mid to late 20s, I just decided I'm going to switch to left-handed because I'm left eye dominant. Everything I've ever read says you shoot way better with your dominant eye. So I completely switched to left-handed. I've been shooting left-handed ever since, and it's been awesome.
That's crazy. You did the switch in your 20s.
Yeah, I think I bought a left-handed.
Did it feel really weird?
Yeah,
like the
really
mechanics
weird.
of it felt strange.
Felt very weird. Like putting your arrow on.
Yeah.
Holding your bow with the opposite hand and putting an arrow
you should
on
see my son.
was the hardest thing. Like watch a kid do it. I was like that, but 10 times worse.
Both
I was like,
struggling with that.
Which way do I? And it was awkward. But I think I bought a left-handed bow, practiced with it for like 5 days, and I shot a doe up in Michigan on public land 5 days after I started shooting left-handed.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
That must have felt really interesting for you.
Yeah, it was weird. But like that's a thing. Like if you're starting out kids, like we've had callers talk about it, like check their eye dominance for sure. Like,
what's the simplest test for that? I think
simplest test is the triangle test.
Yeah.
So like have them make the little triangle with their hands, look at you or look at anything, pull it back, and they'll pull it to whatever eye they're dominant. Mm-hmm. If you pull it back to your non-dominant, all of a sudden it'll get to a point where it switches over to that eye's vision, and it'll just totally mess up.
My son has a lazy eye. He's supposed to be wearing a patch, a lot of the day, and he won't do it. He'll just like open it and be like, "Look, I can still see." I'm like, "No, it's defeating the purpose."
It's hard when they're little, man.
But if we don't correct it now, it could be a problem.
Our neighbor had to wear it. He's 8 or 9, and he wore a patch for 6 months last year because he has lazy eye. Or
it's crazy that just wearing a patch will like the muscle will strengthen. Like it's crazy that the eye can bounce back like that. But anyway, I think that'll present some other like unique challenges with him because he's just all over the map. And then you throw that in the mix, and it's like, holy crap, buddy! But he seems to really enjoy the concept of it. Like he talks about all the time, so it's interesting. But no, it's a fun episode. I'm glad to hear all the people calling in to share stories about archery and shooting and different 3D events and their kids. And thanks for the callers that called in with the context of what we're talking about too.
Yeah.
I'm not to diss anyone that's ever called in to tell them something different, but it's nice that it's in alignment with what we're talking about. It helps keep the flow going.
It's great hearing people who are getting into archery or hunting, bow hunting in general. Like that's awesome. I really love hearing kids getting into archery because I think a lot of parents, male or female, like think that because they love bow hunting and their kid doesn't want to hunt, that they can't enjoy that together. But archery is separate than hunting. Like you can still enjoy archery together and go to shoots and shoot target like as a family, even if someone in the family doesn't want to hunt.
Even my wife wants to get into archery.
I know a bunch of families.
She's kind of like, I want to shoot bows. This looks like so much fun.
Ashley has a bow. Ashley shoots. Holly should get a bow. Yeah. We can all go shoot together at Horicon Marsh.
Yeah, so Holly's got to come shoot the course, and she might have a chance to win the pink RTH.
She's not lefty, is she?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know what she is.
Ashley, we have a lefty bow that is fully adjustable. She could try it.
I'm not sure. I'll have to see.
That'd be fun.
But it would be fun because then we could all go as a family.
I know entire families up back where I used to live in Peshigo. There's a really nice 3D course, and there's families that none of them hunted, and they would all go shoot. 5, 6 of them. They all did archery together.
Yep.
None of them hunted. It's perfectly fine like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't knock on someone whatever. And if you do hunt, it's just a great way to put the reps in, so you feel confident, full draw when you got a living, breathing creature in front of you. Then you know where to put the arrow. You've experienced all the different shot types. Like you should feel like, I got this.
No problem.
The 3D archery has helped me a lot. Like it really has.
Oh, definitely.
And obviously, like practicing out of what your actual setup is important too. Like once you get your saddle or your tree stand or whatever, be sure nicer weather, get that stuff set up if you have the means to do it, or someone that might nearby. Like certainly worth doing that too, because you're not going to understand what you did wrong until you understand how the hell it works up there.
We haven't talked about that.
I've learned this the hard way.
But like even like sighting in your bow from elevated, if you're only a tree stand hunter, you should definitely be shooting and sighting in your bow from.
You saw me end the course, and I literally called out loud. The first station was like a steep downhill
off the
rock. It was a chip shot, 15 yards, but it doesn't matter. It was downward shot. What I say, bend at the hips.
You did great because you were the first one to shoot, and you did like the really exaggerated. You were aiming like across a freaking valley. The target was 90 degrees below you. But you were like, bend at the hips. Yeah. But it was like, it gave everyone a reminder because otherwise what happens? You shoot 6 inches high, right?
Well, because otherwise you do this and that's not the same. Like you need the whole thing to move with you.
Yeah, so any rookie, novice archery people out there, if you're shooting from elevated, the tendency is you're going to shoot high. So especially when you're getting really, really close.
I shot high elevated at a buck that I missed before I shot that guy. And that was I was hunting with Greg. You
almost always shoot over him.
And I shot right over. And I didn't understand what had happened. I was on the money range wise. My sight pin was at the right spot and arrow sailed right over his back. And I was like, what happened? And that's probably what happened.
So my dad was a really good teacher to me when I was little. And I remember being like 10 or 11 and getting ready for hunting, right? Like it's before season. He's getting me ready, like testing me. And we got the 3D deer target in the backyard. We had like a little tiny 5x5 balcony we used to shoot off of. And he would, go down there and take the target and be like, okay, deer standing like this. Where do you shoot? And I'd show him. And it might have been the first time I ever saw my dad cry. He like quartered the deer to me and was like, okay, where do you shoot here? And I said, you don't. And he looked at me, and his eyes welled up, and he gave me a hug, and I was like, what is happening? He's like, you don't shoot. He's like, don't shoot. I'm so proud that you said that. He's like, you're going to hit it in the shoulder and it'll get away. It happened to me. And he like teared up. He was so like happy. But he used to do that. And then like sometimes we'd be shooting and I'd be up in the balcony and he'd move that target like 3 yards. He'd be like, all right, hit this one. And every time, if I held right on where I wanted to aim, I shoot right over the freaking back. So like he ingrained it in me. Always shoot low. There'd be times where you would hold your pin below the belly to hit it where you wanted. Because the closer you get, the more that
exaggerated. Like,
that
so these new
angle.
rangefinders, a lot of the new fandangle things will tell you it'll take the degree of the shot into consideration with the range. I don't know how much that helps you
Well, you notice what that does is it decreases the range.
But like, then do you just go by that and set your range, and then
Yeah.
you don't shoot low?
Because
Like
it's
you're still
taking the
fine?
actual distance and subtracting off the angle that you're shooting at because your arrow.
You can trust that as a source of truth.
As
Almost.
long as you sight in your bow using that rangefinder, you'll be fine.
Sure. We got one more call that wants to call in. Let's just I'll put the number on the screen. And where did it go? Zach Church. The number is 262-757-4122. I did throw it up on the screen there. It's also in the description of wherever you're. I don't know if you're on YouTube. It should be in the description. But nonetheless, there it is on the screen. If you want to give a call, we'll hang out for a couple minutes longer here. But those mechanics are important. You'll start to figure out if you practice. Then it will expose itself, and you can course correct. And at first you'll be like, oh, that was confusing. What happened? Oh, that was confusing. What happened? Oh, that. And then you change it and you go, oh, I know what's happening now. But with the rangefinders, I think mine does take the angle into account or whatever as a factor. And I think you just shoot it. Then you just adjust your range.
The other
you still
part
have
of
to bend at the hip.
And you're still going to shoot high close, no matter what.
Okay.
Because you think about the trajectory of an arrow. What does an arrow do? It arcs.
Sure.
So at your distance of whatever you're set at, you know what I mean? Like 20 yards, your arrow is higher at 10 yards in the middle than it is at 20. It's falling, right? So like if you're close, that arrow hasn't had time to fall, so
high.
it will always hit high. So as soon as you come inside of 15 for most bows, you're going to be shooting high because that arrow's still on its trajectory.
Upward trajectory. Yeah. Physics are very, like math, confusing to me. Although I did pretty good in physics.
It is interesting. You mentioned before we were talking about the trad shooting and like the instinctive style. G. Fred Asbel, guy who's been around traditional bow hunting forever, read a bunch of his books, talks about it like throwing a baseball. Like when somebody's standing 10 yards away, like you don't think about how hard to throw it to them. You just throw it and the trajectory works. They back up 20 steps. You just know how hard to throw it. You're never calculating like, what's the velocity going to be? What angle?
Yeah.
You don't. You just do it. And he said, you shoot your bow enough. That's what happens with traditional, with instinctive.
You just start to know.
You just know how the flight is going to go. And the more you shoot it, the more times you've seen your arrow arc into a target, the more you just know. You don't have to think about it. That's the instinctive
Yeah,
side.
I want to shoot trad just for that reason. Maybe not hunt, but like I want that. I want that instinctual thing happening where that's a great activity for your brain. I don't know how to explain it, but okay. So last caller, we got Zach Church calling in. Zach, where are you calling from? Does it tell me? Virginia. Hey Zach, you're live on the podcast out of Virginia. Looks like. How you doing, man?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
We're doing well.
We're okay.
All right, I like it. I haven't called in a while, but I missed most of the show because I went to supper. But y'all were still on when I got back to the hotel, so I figured I'd call in and BS with y'all about some archery stuff before you got off.
Sweet. Yes,
Hopefully you had yourself a nice dinner.
Yeah. What'd you have?
My buddy picked. I'm on some military orders right now, so I'm with one of my Army buddies, and he picked hibachi. So my wife's really upset about that because we like hibachi at the house. So.
Did you get some sake though?
We did.
Yeah.
He tried it. My buddy never had it before, so we got some sake, and he's like, "Well, that's wild." And the let's say the ethnical gentleman at the restaurant was explaining it as moonshine to him.
Yeah. It does, you don't feel it at the moment, but it'll take a toll. Yeah, it'll do
nice
the job.
warm liqueur.
Fun. Yeah. So what's going on in your archery world, bud?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Wow, I was just asking like what's going on with your archery stuff. How's it? What do you got to add to the conversation?
Well, like I said, I missed most of the conversation, but I will re-listen and get it all in. But I'm a geek about archery and stuff. So So just the quick update, I'm doing a badges and bow competition right now. It's like a virtual competition for military, law enforcement, firefighters, and stuff like that. I'm doing pretty terrible, but I'm enjoying doing it. So that's cool.
Sounds like
but that, and then I want to say it was on Go Wild. I seen you post talking about youth bows.
Yeah. So that's actually where I got a lot of intel from was Go Wild. I posted on Go Wild as a question, what are good youth bows to consider? And overwhelmingly, I think it was Bear. And there are a couple others in there. I actually found I have a High Five branded youth bow in my garage that someone gave me at some point. I busted that one. That one's got a little bit more oomph to it, not much, but a little bit more. But the way the way the arrow rests on the frame of the bow is not great for the kids. Like the other one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I love Bear archery. I've shot them before. I shoot Matthews now, but I recommend anybody getting into archery, Bear archery, especially if they're getting into it. And that's what my buddy, actually, me and him has shot since we've been on where we're at. But the what I commented on Go Wild, but it's not an American brand, so I'm not a huge fan of that. However, it's the Sutherland Archery Hero Bow. That's what I bought for my kids. And the only reason I didn't go with the Bear was because that Sutherland Archery one it's a super broad range of adjustments, really low draw weight and draw length, obviously the draw length, and it goes up pretty high. It's not big enough to hunt with, but even at a super low draw length and draw weight, it has a peep sight, a 3-pin sight, and a D-loop. And it comes with a youth release, arrows. It comes with the whole shebang.
That sounds pretty great. What's the price point on that?
Yeah, so my big is like, I think you can get it on Amazon and I think Walmart.com, and it was like 150-ish, 160. But it comes with everything. Like you buy it, the box shows up, and you most of it's already put together. You can adjust the mods on the cams to adjust all the draw lengths at your house. You don't have to do any, no bow press or anything like that.
What's the age
range? And that's what I've got for my
that?
Two oldest sons. Do what?
What's the age range? Is it like 6 and up or?
I mean, I put he just turned 7, and I put him on it, and he's still a little wobbly with it. So I'd say the 6 or 7, depending on how strong, how big or strong they are, or how well they comprehend as well. But the only thing I didn't like about the Bear is most of the youth bows had that the string, like the little roller thing for the string for your fingers, and it didn't have a rest. And this one has a whisker biscuit. I wanted my kids to get good habits from the get-go, so they had a release and the peep sight to go off of, and that was my big reason of choosing that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. I think, my daughter might be more of a candidate for that than my son because he's just a ball of crazy.
Yeah, your youngins are a little bit smaller than mine.
Yeah.
But that was just an option. I'm not saying it's the best out there.
No, but it sounds cool. Like having it be as close to like what you shoot as an actual hunter, like to them too, it takes it up a level in their mind probably too. Like they feel like this isn't some freaking you thing. This is legit. This is how I'm going to really learn. This is what it's really like.
They're out there shooting with dad, and I get that little archery target with, it's just like the styrofoam block, for youth only. It's got the deer and the bear and the turkeys on it and stuff. And like during turkey season, my oldest knew I was going turkey hunting. He's like, I got to shoot the turkey side because, I got to practice for turkey. You know what I mean? So,
well, those little differences, like you know how kids are. Like, when they see you using a release, Gus has already questioned me when he was probably 4. What's that on your wrist? Why don't I have one of those when he's shooting his little bow, right? Because it has that, it's a little bear one. And it's a finger release, right? You use your fingers. And he immediately, why do you have one of those? I don't have it. And it's like, that's, all comes to the, like, gradation of what you're doing. Like, he wants to feel like I'm doing the same thing Dad or Mom or whoever is mentoring them is doing. So I think that's a great option.
Exactly right.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, all mine have those. All mine have the green bow, the typical like super youth.
Yep.
Green bows. And heck, I enjoy shooting. I have 3 for all 3 of my sons. I enjoy shooting them. Sometimes I set my bow down and just shoot them at their little target just for fun.
I shot the kids' youth. I was like, let me shoot this thing, guys. Let me see what it's all about.
Like,
you can't help it.
Get down with that thing.
How far can I take this target?
It's just a cool option. For that, but like you said, they're very intuitive and they're paying attention. So I thought it was a neat idea. My middle son, he just got his in May for birthday, and he's not as into it as he is the other bow because he shoots the other one better. But my older son, he really enjoys the process and doing the same thing. And I just set it up to where it's like, instead of doing 20, 30, 40 on the pins, I showed him, I was like, let's do 5 of your steps away from the target. And I tried to sight it in the best I could, off of his shooting for 5 of his paces and then 10 of his paces. So he didn't have to worry about a rangefinder and stuff.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, but he'll want a rangefinder pretty soon. Why you got one of those?
Yeah, I don't want to get. I already got it like really intuitive on them, so I didn't want to like overwhelm them with anything. So I'm just trying to pass on any kind of dad tips I can do. But definitely, like I said, when they first get into it, I'll definitely get them a bear archery. That'll be their first like hunting bow, just because they're excellent for what they are. So, and it's an awesome company. They've always had a good heritage. So, but I just thought that was a cool if you want to get them one to practice with before they get that hunting size, maybe that's an option.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's
excellent tip.
It's good to hear from someone like the reason I asked Go Wild is because I knew I was going to get good responses there. So the fact that you had referenced that and you're giving me a good response just goes to talk about, we don't got to pump our sponsors too hard here because they're all ingrained into what we do as a show. It speaks volumes. But no, man, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. It's good to hear from you.
No, that's no problem. I think I sent you, if I'm not mistaken, I think I put the link to it on your Go Wild.
You probably did. I'm in there like maybe once a week. So I'll, I don't know if I've gotten back into there yet. I usually do it on Wednesdays after I post the podcast. I'll go back in. And so, and I bounce back between our Okayest Hunter account and my personal. So I'll bounce back in and take a look. But I appreciate it a bunch.
No problem. Well, we're getting dialed in. Love the Jake Bush podcast, by the way. But we're, because I'm a huge fan of him. But we were getting dialed in. Hunting season's coming up.
It's
going to be here, man. I can't wait.
That's how it works every year. My wife's already going, oh my God, it's already almost here. This is bullshit.
Today I was playing on my phone on the deck, and my wife goes, what are you looking at? I said, well, I'm looking for trail camera deals. She's like, what about those 6 that you just ordered that are laying on the basement floor? I said, yeah, I'm looking for more of those. She's like, more? I was like, yeah, a lot more.
Oh, God.
I bought a trail cam yesterday.
Hey, you can't have too many. You can't have too many.
That's cool.
I know. That's what I told the wife. I was like, hey, this season I need more evenings to hunt. I said last season I got a lot of mornings. I'm really appreciative of how great you were with me. I was like, I need some afternoons though, so I can dial in these bucks. And she just like gives me that side eye.
I feel, dude. If it weren't for the wives, like this hobby, this pursuit, this passion of ours would not be a thing. Because they hold the cards. They really do. Like, if my wife's like, no, I'm out. I'm going to go do my thing. And I'm foot the bill with the 3 kids. Like, I ain't hunting. It's not going to happen. So, like, bless the wives that like, allow us to chase our weird hobby that we have where we get crazed. Like, it overtakes us.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't think about anything else come hunting season. It becomes a total mess. Like, everything, like, my garage goes to shit. My yard goes to shit. Everything just sucks.
The 3 worst words that a wife can hear is, I passed him.
That's true.
You could have been done, and you passed.
So I don't know if you watched the Okayest Hunter show that we put out on Carbon TV and YouTube.
Oh, without a doubt. I watched them the day they released, as long as I wasn't working.
I'm so sorry you watched.
Did you see the one where our producer, Jace, unknowingly to us, sat us down in the studio and said, so how's your home life? And he asked Derek first. I thought Derek was going to punch him in the face. Because we had expressed earlier that shit ain't going good at home. And he's like, so how's your home life? And I was like, what did you just ask me? I was like pissed off about it. And then Derek's like, I will kill you. Why would you ask me that question? It's not good, okay? We're laughing
Derek's
about it now, but there was some
cat.
serious animosity.
Yeah, I'm already eyeing up some cat deals, man.
I know you're going to have to get a cat like halfway through the season so you can get through the rut.
You know it, brother. You know it.
I might end up with another baby to be
Our neighbor's cat just had a litter, so I'm like, hey, what can we do for a little October deal?
Oh, Lord. The only thing I was upset about is y'all's Okayest Hunter series is they didn't follow me around this past season. And so I hunted well over. I'll make it quick. I hunted well over probably 80 hours work week wise in the stand right during bow season, and then I hunt bow through muzzleloader. And it got to rifle, and I was like, all right, I'm fed up with this. I'm watching my language. I'm fed up with this. So I started taking my rifle out. And then the day before, because in Virginia, our hunt season, our rifle kicks out, and then it comes back into archery and then muzzleloader again. Mm-hmm. So the day before rifle season ended, I took my rifle out and killed I actually ended up getting a 10-point, my biggest buck to date. And she had to get the kids from school and all kinds. It was a mess because I was like 2 miles deep, blah, blah, blah. Long story. It was a cool story. And then I hadn't killed a doe yet because I was worried if I killed the does early, she would be like, well, you have meat in the freezer. You don't need to go back for a buck. So I tried to wait till late season to get a doe.
Smart man.
To get some extra meat. And then, well, I archery hunted does as hard as I could the late season, and they were all so skittish. And I ended up missing a doe because I had a release issue, or not a release, I had a failure on my equipment. It was my fault. And then missed the doe. And it was the last day of season. I come in like an hour, 2 hours after dark, just like moping around. And she said, well, what did we learn this season? I was like, what? She said, shoot the does early.
Oh, that's great. Well, congrats on your best buck. That's great.
Oh, thank you guys. Y'all killed some booners. And then Eric over there got him his first turkey. So y'all been killing it.
Yeah, it's been more than okay around here, and I don't think that. So we have the turkey hunt episode getting chopped up right now by the producing crew, and I don't think we're gonna post it until next year at this point because it's just far beyond turkeys. No one's gonna give a shit. So I think we'll post it to hype it up turkey season next year.
It'd be weird to post it. End of summer.
Right before deer season.
Yeah.
I know we're excited about whitetail, but check out this turkey video. Rick rolled. No, it's all good, but it'll be fun to watch it. But thanks for the call, man. It's good to hear from you. I'm glad
we appreciate you following along, buddy.
Hey, no problem. I'll call you back and bother you in a week or two.
Please do.
Yeah, cheers. Cool. Well, with that, let's end this popsicle stand.
I like that.
I don't know. That's not a thing. People don't say that.
They do now.
Hey, everybody, have a great week. You'll get this on Wednesday, Tuesday night, whatever it ends up being. If you're not registered for Foam Fest, go to our website, okayesthunter.com. There's an event page. You can go there and register. It's all through Eventbrite. It's all pretty seamless and pretty smooth. You go buy a ticket. It's $40. We raised the price this year. There's a lot. We were way underwater last year.
Dude, whatever you charged last year, and then you bought everyone like multiple drinks, you fed everyone for free. They all got like multiple entries into all.
It's because I'm bad at math. Like everyone benefited last year, so this year I had to make it right.
He had to make it almost normal. It's still nicer than any other one you'll go to, but it's way. Last year you were just so generous.
Because last year was like, oh, let's do a test run, and last year we had like 40 some people come, and it was fantastic. It was a very fun time. This year we have camping. We'll have some more organizations involved directly, so it's family centric. Bring your kids, bring your wife. Like we do enough stuff as hunters. If we're the males, which like I say that because 90% of our demographics are males. Okay, so I'm not excluding the females. I'm just saying that's the stats. That being said, obviously there's female archers and bow hunters and hunters also. I'm just saying, trying to cover my bases here.
We had a female archer kick our ass this last weekend.
She was really good. She was a dead eye. But that being said, it is family centric. So bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your children, and know that there'll be events to keep kids occupied. There'll be food, plenty of food for everybody. There'll be breakfast and lunch. I think we'll have to do dinner too because we're doing a camp. But I think the dinner I want to do I haven't fleshed this out yet, but I want it to be more inspired by the people that are coming. So bring food to grill. It's camping overnight. So I think there probably are hotels that are within some proximity of acceptable, but there's no cell service at Horicon Marsh Bowman. You're not going to be able to do cellular stuff there.
You're not going to be able to DoorDash in.
Yeah.
Some kind of stuff. So
bring whatever, but know that if you're going to come, you can stay the whole evening. So bring your tent and stuff. Hopefully the weather cooperates for most of the day. There are indoor stuff because there's a clubhouse. But we're giving away a ton of stuff. a ton of stuff. Like you're gonna leave there feeling like $1 million. You're gonna have a lot of fun. I think it's a good event. So if you haven't registered, register so we can start to get our head count in order so we can plan this thing accordingly. And it's the last weekend of August, so that's August 26th, which is a Saturday. We'll camp into the Sunday. There's nothing happening on Sunday other than pack up your stuff and get the hell out of there. And that's kind of it. That's all I have for now. So on the show with that, I want to get a nice plug in so people know what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
for those
we hope
that
to
actually
see you
listen.
there. Do it. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got a highlight reel on YouTube from last year's event.
All our kids are going to be there again.
Yeah.
We'll do the shed hunt again. We'll amp it up a little bit. We'll do some other children's stuff. It'll be good.
You'll bury the sheds, make them dig for them. I don't know.
I'm going to make them work. Hang them in trees.
But like people shot bows out of saddles last year.
It was great.
I know there's a mobile hunter expo, and I think that's a really fantastic expo. I haven't been to it. I want to go. I think we can exhibit at some point. However, like short of that, I don't know other events that you can go to where you can literally shoot out of tree stands and saddles at targets.
Try them, test them, play with them.
Yeah, that's a different level. Like you can get in these things, but have you drawn back in it? Have you shot your bow? Because you have your lead side and your weak side. And like that's different when you're in a saddle. When you got to deal with your bridge, like, and you got to contend with shooting over or under that thing, like you're gonna need to know what that feels like.
And that's the other thing is that we mentioned before. But if you already are a saddle hunter, but you haven't practiced out of it a ton, you need to because it does feel weird.
It can. Yeah.
It's weird. You need to practice.
Yep. So with that, hopefully everyone has a great week. We'll catch you next week.
See you next week.
Just keep it awkward here. Bye.
Bye.